Okay.
We're recording. Okay. Hi.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
Weather's nice, so I'm good.
I know, right? It helps.
It does a lot.
And that rain helped too. Just keep the dust down.
Everything is very green. My vegetable garden is finally growing things, which, by the way, being a wedding planner for 14 years, I've never been able to have a vegetable garden.
Silver lining.
Silver lining.
There is a silver
Vegetable
lining.
garden now. Yes.
Yeah, that's a part of this conversation. So a little bit about this, starting a little series, spotlighting the people that I've worked with here in Edmonton. Some of my favorite people. You are included in that group. You are the first in this conversation, so I'll be doing a little bit of a spotlight
Excellent.
on all my socials, and then I'll be releasing this video as soon as I edit it.
Sounds good.
So we are in week 8 of this pandemic.
Yep.
And I just wanted to talk to you and event professionals about how this has impacted you, what you want to talk about, what you are going through, what you theorize, what you foresee for the future.
Yeah.
And it's just an ongoing conversation because
it sure is.
It's pretty interesting. Two things are going on. One, it's happening to us, and then we're also observing it at the same time. So,
Yes.
right? So it's interesting and then also terrifying.
Yeah.
And there is a silver lining. So I think there's all kinds of things, all kinds of opportunities as well too. So
Yeah.
yeah. So tell us a little bit about who you are.
Oh my gosh, who I am. That's a long story.
It all started.
Let's see. Well, business wise, so my company is VIP Weddings and Events, and I've been a wedding planner for 14 years. I guess it'll be 15 years this fall. Time flies. I have been in Edmonton my whole life, basically, so I love this city to death. So you and I get along well that way because we both love this city. Edmonton's a fantastic city. Much love. I mostly plan weddings, so I'm about a 90% wedding planner, 10% other, asterisks other. And so yeah, this is making a really big difference for me, for sure. I'm a mom of a 4-year-old and married, and normally I have a bit of part-time childcare for my daughter, and I don't right now, so a full fun working from home thing, but it's going well so far.
That's good. So this all happened over one weekend, basically.
Yeah.
Mid-March. I mean, we heard it was coming. We didn't know
Yes.
what it would look like, and
You don't think it's going to hit you the same way. You hear about it overseas. You don't think it's going to hit you at home the same way.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, what was that like? How did that transpire for you?
You start hearing about it, but you kind of push it into this little place in the back of your brain, thinking it's not actually going to hit. And then it does hit. And it's this, within the span of 2 days, I think I felt about 100 different things and thought about a million different things. And you're simultaneously worried about your clients, brides and grooms. I mean, that's just like breaks your heart. Your own business and how it's going to survive. Suddenly, I'm thinking of all of my vendors and what's going to happen with all of that. You're thinking of your own life and your own finances and your own health and your own, and it all just swirled around. And yeah, within the span of about 48 hours, I was just incredibly, incredibly overwhelmed. And yeah, that was my initial sort of, yeah, it didn't really settle at first. It was too much. It was too much right away, for sure.
It's interesting because I had a very similar experience, and just realizing that in a very short period of time, something that our business is relatively recession proof. I mean, everybody, whether they're happy or sad, want to either celebrate or congregate to commiserate.
Yes. Yes,
And
absolutely.
so to have this kind of disruption for our sector uh, was it was it's interesting. It's novel. It's new.
It's novel. It's new. It's unprecedented.
It's unprecedented. Thank you. Um,
As that term has gotten extremely popular. Un-
being in the, I mean, you're in the event business, but specifically with weddings, how have your clients been reacting?
um, it's a mixed reaction. I mean, everything from clients going, no, you know what, we get it. We're gonna postpone to next year, fingers crossed, to just, yeah, extremely upset. Um, it's a mixture of emotions. I think, again, for my clients, they're looking at the financial aspect of postponing a wedding or canceling a wedding. They're looking at the emotional aspect of postponing or canceling a wedding. There's a lot involved with it. So right away, the first thing I did within those first few days is just contact all of my clients, whether they're day of clients or full planning clients, because I'm involved just on the day, or I'm involved fully throughout the planning process. And I just contacted everybody and said, this is what's happening, and I will help you so that you can stress as little as possible. I don't care if you're a day of client and I wasn't part of it. Like, I don't care. I just want to make sure that you're not freaking out more than you need to be.
Mm-hmm.
There's only so much I can do, but I think what's really neat and what I'm really happy about is I have yet to talk to a vendor or anyone in the industry that isn't doing everything they can to help these people out. And with that understanding that not all of us can give back deposits as much as we would all really, really love to, especially these smaller businesses like you and I, who are, one-man shows with contractors. But hanging on to them, postponing, allowing any sort of flexibility that I possibly can and that the vendors can, has been going really well. So I think that that's taken off a lot of stress off of those clients. But I mean, there's so much, and there's opinions, there's family opinions about postponement. There's, I've got two clients that are having micro weddings, which is awesome, but one family's supportive and the other one isn't. And so, because it's essentially an elopement, really,
Sure.
So it's mixed emotions. It's mixed emotions for sure. I mean, no one's thrilled.
Well, it's interesting, for the weddings, I find, well, wedding planners, JPs, and photographers are, um, you have all had to pivot. Being an entertainer, whether it's a band or DJ, that kind of social, like congregating has changed. So I don't know many people who really are interested in doing like a Zoom party.
No.
Might just share a little bit about my experience is that
Yeah.
similar to yours, I mean, everyone has been relatively good about wanting to move their dates. Some people that were in April and May have moved them into August and September. And then later dates are now moving into 2021.
Yeah.
And as a vendor, it's because we operate on deposits for events, that money is kind of put in a hold.
Yes.
And so agreements that were made in 2019 for 2020 are being moved to 2021.
Yep.
So no money obviously is being made right now. None of us are working, or
Nope.
we're finding different ways we've had to pivot and rejig our business model to meet the new demand
And figure it out.
online for a lot of us,
Yeah.
especially for us in entertainment and
Yeah.
events. And then there's no new money that's going to be made in 2021 because those dates that were in 2020, as you well know, are now covering over popular dates
Yes.
in 2021. And there's no guarantee that
No.
in 2021
No, not at all.
that we're going to be able to socially get together anyways.
And that's the scary part, is what's going to happen next year. I mean, I'm putting in much more time in all of my weddings right now than I normally would because I'm postponing and I'm communicating with vendors. I'm trying to line up dates, and I don't mind doing that. But it's, what's going to happen? Are all these 2021 weddings actually going to happen? I just had to approach a September couple to postpone, and they thought they were good, and I get that because it's ever changing, and everyone's looking to me to go, hey, wedding planner, like you, what should we do? And for the first time, really, in 14 years, well, maybe 12, because I had to get my feet under me. So I can't say, you know what, I absolutely think that this is what you should do.
Definitively.
I mean, as a planner, as the person who's always supposed to say, it's going to be okay, and we're going to figure this out, and here's my professional advice on what you should absolutely do, and it will work. I can't say that right now, and it's awful. And I'm watching webinars, and I'm part of, MPI, which is amazing, and there's a lot of education and it's changing every day, so I'm constantly trying to keep up. I'm watching the daily updates from Dr. Hinshaw because I need to know, and I want to hear it from her. So much information out there, so
yeah, no, it's true,
from the source, and it's changing. At the start of all this, I was just rescheduling April-May couples. And then a few weeks later, I was doing June, July, August. And then, Dr. Hinshaw a week ago, I think only now, made the announcement that, there's no big gatherings for a long time. And I'm going, okay, let's just shut her down for the year. And that's odd. And I mean, like you said, we're all looking at losing an entire season of income and business, and who's going to survive after this. It's different when it's something like myself or you're a one-man show, and we have to struggle personally and everything to go along with that. But we have a better chance of being able to dig ourselves out and win it all. But these bigger companies are venues with huge overhead costs. We don't know who's going to be around after all this. And so even planning for my couples that were already getting married next year is a little nerve-wracking for me because I'm worried about what's going to happen to them.
Yeah, exactly.
So the uncertainty is nauseating because what do you say?
That's a very good way of putting it.
Yes, it's awful because all you can do is educate yourself as much as possible and stay on top of things as much as you can and try and guide your clients in the best direction you can.
So with that in mind, knowing that it's very uncertain as to how this will shape, what are some of the strategies that you're currently working on? Obviously, you were talking about, moving dates and working with clients, trying to reassure them, moving it to next year, anticipating that we'll be able to work somehow. People will want to do events. It just, what will they look like? Are you working on a line at all? Are you considering those?
It's hard. Like I kind of feel like I get an idea and then it kind of gets squashed because of how quickly things are changing, and you're just really not sure. And I don't know realistically that we're going to see big events next year. Mm-hmm. And so right now I'm reluctant to be, positive about those larger several 100-person weddings and events. I think it's likely we're going to see a second wave, and I think it's really going to affect things. From a planner standpoint, it's hard to come up with a strategy of how to keep my business going in a world where we can't have gatherings, because it's hard to shift things virtually. But that is something that I'm already putting into place. I've got some social distanced micro weddings happening this summer, and we'll be taking video and rescheduling receptions and playing the video at the receptions so that all the guests can see. We're working on ideas to have virtual attendance, so for guests to still be able to tune in to a live feed to sort of watch the wedding and things like that. But I don't know that people are really ready to be having virtual weddings. I think what we're going to see is more people are just going to wait. They're either going to wait for their big wedding or they're going to do these elopements, micro weddings.
Hmm.
Want to get married, let's just have our micro wedding. Or, you know what, I want a big wedding, let's just wait for the big wedding. I don't think we're going to see a lot of that virtual aspect in the wedding world.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, I think if we're looking into non-for-profits and galas and things like that, then for sure, I think we're actually going to see a lot more virtual happening. Same with corporate events. But in the wedding world, I absolutely don't think we're going to see it. I think we're going to have little bits of it. And I'd like to say that we will, but I don't think people are ready for it. And I think it takes away the um, sort of that personal aspect of things that you really want with a wedding,
Hmm.
right? I mean, we've got it's family and friends and feelings and love and you want to feel that, and I think that's hard to do.
It's interesting. Over that time, when until we get a vaccine, how it will have an overall effect on how people celebrate and get together.
Yeah,
Obviously, when we get a vaccine and we can all congregate again, I'm sure it will have a lasting impact.
yeah, I think it is going to have a lasting effect, and I think it's going to be a while before we start getting back to that comfort normal of big gatherings. I don't think it's going to be something that just explodes like, oh, we're allowed to have gatherings again. Excellent. And there's a party every day. I think there's going to be too many people that are kind of reluctant and maybe a little more careful. And I think that's fair.
Mhm.
And I think the other aspect of this is, for better or worse, based on our business, I do think we're going to see a bit of a rewind to simplicity.
Yes.
I think things are going to kind of back up a bit. I think people, I mean, already we're looking at 8 weeks and people are already saying, wow, you know what? I've realized I don't need to spend so much money. I've realized that I need to slow down. I've realized this and this. And so I think it'll be more important for people to celebrate marriage with their family and friends. I think that'll be something that they really want. But I think that maybe some of the more extravagance that goes along with weddings is going to dial down a little bit
Peel that back a bit. Oh,
realistically. I do, yeah. And I think it's just a couple steps back. I think that's what we're going to see.
well, that's all very interesting. So, obviously, with everything comes a silver lining. We talked a little bit about that at the beginning.
Yes.
Is there any silver lining for you currently, either
For me
professionally, personally?
personally
Yes.
and professionally, well, from a personal standpoint, I mean, this will be my first free summer in most of my adult life, really. I mean, it's a little annoying. I can't really travel much during it, but
Sure. Yeah, yeah.
I've got a giant backyard and I've got a 4-year-old daughter and like there's lots I can do. I also think for the first time in a long time, I'm allowing myself to slow down. And I think that's making me realize that I don't need to do so much all the time. I can run my business, I can be a successful wedding planner, but I don't have to do these 20 other things. Like focus my energy on what's important. I love my business and I love what I do. It's actually like it actually breaks my heart to know that I won't be at a wedding or celebrating or doing what I love at all this year, mostly. Um, but at the same time, I'm kind of, it's kind of nice. It's an interesting feeling, and you have to rush past that feeling of guilt, like you should be doing more. Like, wow, so it's like 11 a.m. and I've fed my kid and that's about it, like
Yeah.
it's weird. Um, Silver lining professionally, that's a hard one. And only because there's not, I mean, with the exception of I'm using this time to kind of really re-examine how I run my company and what changes can be made and what we can do better and things like that. Because it's near impossible to have the time to sit and do that. So that's nice. So I'm trying to take advantage of that and kind of roll out all these ideas and projects I've always had in mind. But aside from that, wedding planner is not a good job during a worldwide pandemic. There's, I can't, be Thomas Culture and DJ these amazing live
Yeah.
events that have been super fun and dance parties and things like that. And, there's a couple options for other types of people in the industry. And for planners, it's a little more difficult.
It's a little bit different for sure.
Yeah.
We're all in this together. Um,
Yes.
I have appreciated and loved working with you over the years. It's been great.
Me
And
too.
as we move forward, we will be fluid and we'll work together and try to figure this out. I mean,
Absolutely.
yeah, we're in this
I
together.
hope I hope all of my favorite vendors survive this.
That is a great intention and wish for sure.
Yeah,
Well,
that's all I
I
want.
really appreciate this. This is again a living process. This is the first one, so I appreciate you taking the time to do this. And
Absolutely.
yes, to be continued.
Sweet.
All right,
Thanks.
all right. Well, thanks. Have a great day.
You too.
Okay, bye.
Bye.